Welcome to the Career Ecosystem Era in Higher Education podcast, where we explore the systemic changes colleges and universities are making to ensure every student receives the career learning they need to succeed. My name is Jeremy Padani. I'm the CEO and founder of the Career Leadership Collective, a consulting company dedicated to helping higher education transform their career ecosystems. Today, Career Ecosystem Era in Higher Education podcast listeners, we are going to listen to an incredible interview that I did with Dr. Tammy Wyatt, Senior Vice Provost for Student Success in Academic Affairs at the University of Texas, San Antonio. This was actually a main stage session at our virtual conference in November 2025. And we loved it so much and thought many of you don't have access or didn't buy access to that conference. We wanted to make it available to everyone. And in this interview with Dr. Wyatt, we talk about what led them to move away from an opt-in model toward an embedded model of career learning. Particularly, she spends a good amount of time on measurement and impact. I know measurement's something that's on a lot of folks' mind when it comes to building out their career ecosystem. They're doing it in a really sophisticated manner, so I think you're going to love it. She also digs into their classroom to career movement, which is pretty outstanding in how they've been able to bring faculty along with this and develop communities of practice and get their buy-in. I also love how she talks about partnerships with workforce and aligning with workforce. And finally, she just is really great about the lessons learned along the journey. So let's take a listen to my interview on the main stage from our 2025 virtual conference with Dr. Tammy Wyatt. Tammy, it's great to be with you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here and excited for the conversation.
Yeah, we've spent some time together on this topic, and I feel like this is really going to be helpful to the campuses that are listening. So we titled this Building a Trackable and Measurable Ecosystem where career engaged learning is integrated into the academic experience. And you've spent a good amount of time on this over a few years. This is not something that is a new philosophy. You've
Right.
put in place a lot. So let's help our listeners walk through your vision, philosophy, measurement, and impact, how you're doing classroom to career work, uh, partnerships with workforce alignment, and then future lessons that
Sure.
you've learned. So we'll really uncover everything for them. So let's start out. One of the things that UTSA frames is future ready roadrunners, and it positions career learning and readiness as embedded and a shared responsibility, not an add-on. Uh, how did that philosophy take root institutionally, and what were the conversations that led to moving away from an opt-in model and toward an embedded model?
Sure. So at UT San Antonio, what we call our future ready roadrunners, that philosophy grew out of a very simple but I think powerful idea. Every student should graduate academically strong, professionally prepared, and personally equipped to thrive. And so we recognized early that career readiness couldn't rely on optional programs or self-selection. Um, Too often, students who would benefit the most, particularly those who are first in their families to attend college or who are navigating financial barriers, and that's a large percent of our student population here at UT San Antonio, they're often the least likely to find or access career engaged opportunities on their own. And so for them, the university experience is already full of new systems and expectations. And so expecting them to opt in to optional programs meant leaving success to chance in many ways. And so that's why around 2018, we launched our quality enhancement plan, which is our
Yep.
classroom to career. And the goal was to intentionally embed career engaged learning into the curriculum. And so the goal was that to ensure that every student, regardless of where they start or what they study, would graduate having applied what they learned to the real world context. And so this initiative became the foundation for a broader cultural and structural transformation that we did across the institution. We moved from a model where career preparation was owned by individual offices to one that is shared across the institution, and it's
Yep.
supported by a hub and spoke ecosystem. And so
Yep.
this structure connects our academic colleges and our centralized support services that includes our career engaged learning team and others. And it connects us around unified goals, shared data that we can talk about, and coordinated
Yep.
strategies that extend across that whole student life cycle. And all of this is in support of our efforts to positively impact student thriving. What we like to say is student thriving.
Yeah. Well, first of all, well done. I mean, incredible and aptly timed for everything that's happening across higher education. And I love to talk about that last note you mentioned was the word student thriving. We talk about unique institutional contexts a lot and how this work broadly is needed, but you have to appreciate your institutional context. And one of the things you all have done is say, let's connect career learning, career readiness to student thriving, which is well-being, belonging, purpose, all that and employability wrapped up into one. Why was that important for UTSA?
Yeah. So for us, we view it as, like you said, it's where academic progress, engagement on campus, and purpose all come together, right? So, and it's not just about performing well in courses. You can have a 4.0 student who graduates in 4 years, but they may not be thriving and they may not be a career-ready graduate, right? So
Yep.
it's about how do we make sure that our students are fully able to engage in the university experience, and then how confidently they can connect their learning to their future goals. And so career readiness fits naturally into this concept and framework. It strengthens the sense of purpose. When students understand how their coursework translates into real world skills and opportunities, that's where their engagement often will deepen. They can participate more fully in class, make stronger connections with faculty, which our data is telling us is extremely important for our students. And
Yep.
then they can seek out learning experiences that will reinforce what they're learning. And so for our student demographics, which again, very high percent first gen and high Pell or high financial needs students, this connection is extremely important. Often those
Yep.
students arrive with, tremendous motivation, but they
Yep.
often have less clarity about how to navigate or maximize that full university experience. And so for these students, time is limited. They are balancing work. 80% of our students work at least part-time. They're
Wow.
balancing family responsibilities, financial pressures. So optional career experiences can often feel out of reach, even when students may want them. And so that's where this concept of the cost of experience becomes so important. And that's a term we've coined that really references those hidden barriers for students. It's the time, the money, the awareness, the access that prevents students from participating in high value opportunities like internships, undergraduate research, the professional networking. And so when career development is optional or requires students to self-navigate often complex systems, those hidden costs often fall heaviest on our students who already face the most constraints. And so by
Yep.
embedding our career engaged learning into the curriculum and our student thriving framework, we've been able to reduce those barriers and those, that cost of that experience. Our students don't have to search for opportunities. They don't have to worry about whether they can afford the time away from their paid work. Instead, they can gain those structured experiences as part of that academic pathway.
Will you soon be searching for your next career services leader? At the Career Leadership Collective, we focus exclusively on executive searches for career services leaders, and our network is second to none. We've helped place transformational career leaders at elite liberal arts schools, large Research 1 institutions, top 50 ranked schools, business colleges, mid-major schools, Jesuit institutions, and many more. Our annual leadership development cohorts enable us to leverage our nationwide network and quickly deliver high-quality candidate pools. If you're in a transition and ready to bring in a leader who can elevate your career ecosystem, let's talk so you can benefit from our network of the most innovative, trusted leaders in the field. Visit us today at careerleadershipcollective.com/search or email us at search@careerleadershipcollective.com. I love it. I love that you've spent the time together to really hone in your philosophy as an academic leadership with the career center, with the career centers on campus. So it's there's some unison there, but it's way more than a philosophy. It's actually happening, and
Yeah.
you've actually created a trackable, measurable system,
Yes.
and I believe you call it your thriving multi-model.
Multiple. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell us about what you have built?
Yes, so we are in the process of still building.
Yep.
This will be many phases, but absolutely, we're super excited about it. I may start talking really fast because I get excited about it. Um, one of the biggest shifts we're making is really moving beyond solely relying on traditional measures of student success, and like retention rates, GPA, graduation outcomes. Those measures are extremely important and we will track them, but they only tell us what happened after the term is
Yes.
over. They don't really give us the insights of how our students are progressing and engaging and developing in real time. And
Yep.
so, and that's also around thriving, right? Like I said, you can have this 4.0 student who graduates in 4 years, but did they really engage and thrive and develop those skills that are necessary? And so that's why we built and are building our thriving multi-model. This is in partnership with Civitas Learning, which is our
Oh, yeah.
student success technology platform vendor. And so together we're developing a predictive analytics framework and tool. It really reflects that philosophy of thriving. And so we're connecting academic progress, engagement, and career readiness in a unified way. We have our current tool with Civitas Learning really has been focused on persistence to the next term, retention, those activities and engagements that will impact that, which again, very, very important. But we
Yep.
wanted to be able to have some real-time measures and to also be able to specifically see three core dimensions. How academic achievement, that steady progress, that course performance, the credit momentum, your more traditional pieces, how that impacts our students in real time, engagement in learning. So meaningful participation in academic and co-curricular experiences that strengthen that connection and motivation in real time. How are we seeing that impact their thriving? And then career readiness indicators. So how involvement in things like project-based courses, undergraduate research, um, using VMOC, all of those things, right? How does that mean
Yep.
attending a career fair? How does that impact their various academic engagement and career readiness scores? And all of that adds together to give us this
Right.
thriving quotient. So we are ready to, we've been building it across the summer and across this fall semester, and we're really excited about the potential for what it has to offer for us.
Yeah. And you have had some early
Mhm.
insights about
Yes.
learning, even before building
Yep.
that, looking at some of the data about
Yep.
which experiences most kind of strongly predict thriving and post-graduation outcomes. What were some of your early insights
Sure.
there?
Sure. So, by integrating these areas into that multi-model, we're going to generate this thriving score. So we expect to see better understanding, just not just how our students are performing academically, but we really want to see those early goals. So we expect to see with the model and through other tools we've seen, national research suggests strong links between experiential learning and persistence, and we've seen some of that. But what we want to be able to do is using our at scale our data at scale and in real time. We want to see which specific types of experiences, right, have the greatest impact for our students. And so while we've been able to track, does engagement in these experiences overall make an impact? How does undergraduate research specifically, right, play a role? How does attendance at a career fair impact that? And so we want to be able to see the specificity of the different activities, but also we want to see, certain anticipate certain milestones about when is it best, right? When
Mhm.
is the right time? So, is it the first year? Assignment related to
Mhm.
career? Is it a second year project-based course? Where do we see the stronger trajectories for future trajectories for our students? So understanding when the experiences matter most will help us to refine our curriculum design and our outreach. And we're also excited about how this tool will help support actionable outreach. So as
Yeah,
those capabilities
great.
expand, as we continue to see more data, this is going to help advisors, faculty, our student success teams engage with students with timely check-ins. We can
Yeah.
see from day to day, there's been a change, what's going on? Did this increase engagement? Are we seeing a dip? So we can send out encouragement to our students. We can send appropriate resources, and we can do it in the moment, not at the end of the semester once grades have rolled, right? So it's about allowing us to see those experiences, the specificity of what experiences, when it's happening, and then what are the action steps we can do in the moment to make adjustments.
It's really fantastic. I think you're going to have hundreds around the country on the edge of their seat to see what is happening
Yes.
here. And I think there's already a lot of note taking about, wow, this is a sophisticated system that can appreciate great career learning, great thriving, measuring how that's effective, and eventually being able to tell a pretty powerful story with that of success. And I'm just imagining the drool from your enrollment colleagues when you really get to the heart of some of this, and what how alumni will appreciate the value of their degree. Feel like there's so many benefits that come alongside with this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's dig into classroom to career. You use that phrase. Um, I think 2018 an initiative
Yes.
started, then it's evolved into this future ready framework. And talk about the key steps from moving a
Sure.
classroom to career initiative to institutionalizing it within the curriculum.
Right, right. So first, we knew it needed to be woven directly into the academic experience. And
Yep.
so, you're right, 2018, we started with the QEP, and, we set at the time what we called a bold institutional target, that by 2028, 75% of all of our undergraduates would participate in at least one career engaged learning experience. And so, as we had joked before, I'll be honest, every now and then I wonder, why didn't we just say 100%? I think at the time we
Yeah,
wanted to be ambitious and realistic at the same time as we scaled it.
sure.
But we are getting close to that 75%, so we'll definitely go to reach that goal. But I've got my eye on that 100% for the future. But we needed to invest in infrastructure to be able to achieve the goal. And so, I briefly mentioned a hub and spoke model. So we created a hub and spoke model where every academic college partners with our student success and our career engaged learning team to coordinate in this particular context, coordinate career experiential learning opportunities. We can
Yep.
track participation, we can monitor outcomes. We've created a career engaged learning dashboard and that makes that progress visible, and it helps ensure consistency across colleges. So we've worked with our institutional research team to create a dashboard of all of our experiences. And we're already starting to see the impact of that work. Since 2022, we've seen an 85% increase in the number of courses that are offering embedded experiential learning opportunities. And so
Wow.
that growth Yeah, it was exciting. And we've been able to inventory it. We can see it visually, right, in the
Yep.
dashboard. So that growth reflects, a real cultural change.
Yep.
Faculty are embracing the applied learning not as an extra task, but as an essential part of high quality instruction.
Yes.
Another major engine of the work was when we started, we knew we needed a center to be able to really focus these efforts. And so our NAGEM Center for Innovation and Career Advancement was created, and that's been a major engine behind this transformation because it provides holistic, collaborative, experiential programming. It's that hub that then
Yep.
works with the college success centers as spokes to really build in those skills. And so, one specific program that has been exciting and is now, I can say, an award-winning program within the state is our NAGEM Strategist program, and that connects students with paid interdisciplinary project-based learning opportunities in partnership with our industry partners here in town. And so today, the program partners with over 70 industries and organizations in San Antonio and gives students that access to those real world challenges. They're working with industry leaders to develop and solve a specific challenge for that particular industry or organization. So it helps the industry partner, but it also builds those skill sets in our students so that when they go out into the real world, they're ready from day one. So those are a couple of infrastructure pieces that we put into place.
That's great. And I'll tie some history together for our listeners here. 1998 and 2002, that 4 to 5 year span there. Uh, Here's what hub and spoke meant. It
Mhm.
meant get a career coach or a career team in the academic college
Yeah.
in order to do more appointments there. You're saying hub and spoke is now about integration. Hub and
Yes.
spoke is now about it's not about just putting a coach there or putting another team of career professionals. That if that happens, that's great. But it really truly is about curricular integration and ensuring that faculty can better their practices in the process.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's
It's the how.
fantastic.
It's the
Yeah,
how.
that's right. That's fantastic. And the new and improved hub and spoke academic integration. I love it. Uh, you've also developed career readiness maps, and they align with student pathways and competencies. Can you talk about what's been effective in helping faculty adopt and embed these?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of our most impactful tools has been our career readiness maps. And so they outline the skills, applied experiences, learning milestones that students encounter across the major. I'm sure many institutions and many folks listening today have career ready maps, right? What we've found is that these maps give faculty and advisors as well, academic advisors, but from a faculty perspective, they give faculty a very clear program level view of how readiness builds from year to year. And they make it easy to identify where experiential or project based learning naturally fits within the existing coursework. Um, Faculty appreciate that the maps don't ask them to reinvent the curriculum, but it helps them
Yeah.
surface where real world skills are already present and where they can be strengthened. So it really helps to, in the fine tuning, right? Of again, getting at that how, right? The map is the what, but then it helps lead to how do we always continuously improve and fine tune? And that also allows that to take place.
Yeah, that's great. And it really plays into some of the work you're doing to kind of connect this to regional industry sectors.
Yep.
I mean, from cybersecurity to biosciences, we could just kind of go on of a list of
Yep.
how do workforce partnerships in your context and what you're building out, do they at all inform some of this design work? And
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, how does that play out?
Yeah, yeah. So workforce alignment is an extension of our academic mission, right? We want students to graduate with strong disciplinary knowledge, but also those skills that our industry partners say are necessary, and especially in a rapidly changing environment and economy. So we aligned, we aligned all of our top um, academic programs with the most dynamic industries in San Antonio. And you mentioned a few: cyber, biosciences, data science, healthcare, engineering. And so by mapping our degree programs to these sectors, we were able to design learning pathways that prepare our students for those real world opportunities. And so the partnership shaped our curriculum in many ways. First, as number one, partners help validate the skill outcomes. You know, the industry leaders are giving us direct insight into those competencies, the tools, the skills that are emerging in their field in real time, so we can make sure that we are adequately preparing our students. They also help create authentic project-based learning, like I mentioned earlier with our NAGEM strategist program as an example.
Yep.
And through opportunities like career paid internships and so forth. But I think equally importantly is workforce alignment benefits the region as much as it benefits our students. And so, by
Yeah.
preparing our students with those high demand skills, we're strengthening San Antonio's talent pipeline, Texas's talent pipeline. 90% of our students remain in Texas upon
Wow.
graduation, up to 3 years after graduation. They're still in Texas. So we are helping to support the talent pipeline not only in our city and our region, but across our state. And helping employers find graduates who are ready to contribute day one. That's our goal. And so all of our colleges have industry advisory boards. And so we work very closely with our colleges in support of that and gather that information. We truly see our industry partners, our industry in the area as true partners and collaborators in this process.
Yeah, and it's so interesting to hear you talk about that in the context of this broader strategy that started with,
Yeah,
deep philosophical underpinnings about why we do this, building out a system, tracking and measuring it. It sheds a whole new light on industry partnerships when you put it in that context. And I really love this. Okay, one final question. If you could share your lessons or insights with other institutions who
sure.
are seeking to build out from philosophy to tracking and measuring to a true, curricular infused ecosystem. Uh, they're seeking to do this. What lessons have you learned along the way?
Sure, sure. Well, I say it's not just about launching new programs, right? It's about creating systems. It's about shifting both culture and infrastructure. So both are necessary. But it will take time. It is a marathon, not a sprint. And so, as many student success initiatives, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So, understanding that to change culture and to change infrastructure takes time. Um, in terms of insights, I would say first, design for access, not selectivity. So if it's optional, it'll always be uneven. And so students with the least time, fewest connections, like we'd said, are often the ones who miss out. So embedding applied learning as much as possible into the curriculum is critical and important.
It
Um,
is.
Measure what matters and measure it early. And so, like again, those traditional outcomes are essential, but they're retrospective. So, identifying and creating infrastructure and ways, uh, data that on those leading indicators, so you can see how students are progressing in real time. And again, that takes time and resources to be able to build that. We are not a resource-rich institution. We had to be very strategic about how we repurposed our funds and our resources in this way because this was a very important initiative for us. So that kind of gets to the third: invest in the right infrastructure, invest in where you feel you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck, right? So, and innovation doesn't scale without infrastructure. So you've got to invest. So, creating structures organizationally, opportunities where you're going to be connecting. We often say we're like the plumbing in student success. We connect many things
Yep.
together. That's our role. The experts are, many of our experts, and especially in career engaged learning, are going to be in the colleges and with our faculty. So how do we bring that expertise together and funnel it together? So creating that ecosystem is really important. And so to invest in that is critical. And then I would say lastly, probably should be the first thing I said, but I'll end with it is, center the student experience in every decision. That
Yeah.
often should be the first thing that you say and think of, and that was our guiding question was how do we ensure every student has access to these experiences? And so when access, purpose, and readiness are at the core design principles, everything else seems to fall into place.
Wow. Well said. Dr. Tammy Wyatt, Senior Vice Provost at UTSA.
Yep.
Thanks for the outstanding conversation today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity.
I just love that session. Good stuff, Dr. Wyatt. And I will say, I believe she's one of the more strategic minds in the career ecosystem era. And I particularly love how she and the Academic Affairs Division at UTSA are keeping students at the heart of it all. They are focused on every student. They certainly are doing the work of building a career ecosystem, no longer an opt-in system, moving toward everything embedded on multiple career learning outcomes. And the beauty, they're measuring it all, and they're creating a very robust system to do so. Well, you can catch all the episodes and subscribe to the podcast and our newsletter at careerleadershipcollective.com/podcast. As always, if you've not yet ordered the book, The Career Ecosystem Era in Higher Education, we encourage you to do so. Send us your questions, thoughts on what's working in your career ecosystem, and challenges you'd like us to address at podcast@careerleadershipcollective.com. We're building a new era together. Bye for now.